Retake. Hello, everyone. This is Sean Mary, and well, it's been a good amount of time since I've been live on YouTube. My last live stream actually was 3 months ago. I talked about 72 different sci-fi or fantasy franchises, both animated ones like from Pixar, Disney Animation, DreamWorks, but also live action ones as well. Today, I'm going to look at different actors and actresses, look at what things have I seen them in, either movies or TV shows. I'm going to start by looking at the movie Iron Man, looking at all the different actors, actresses in that movie. To be clear, I'm going to talk about the more major characters. I'm not going to look at an actor that has one line of dialogue in the whole movie, for example. So let's start, of course, by looking at Robert Downey Jr., famously played Tony Stark, Iron Man in the MCU for a long time. I mean, he was in 3 standalone Iron Man movies, 4 Avengers movies, and Spider-Man Homecoming. That's 8 movies already. And then last year, Robert Downey Jr. played Strauss in Oppenheimer. He got a lot of attention for playing the character in that movie. And then back in 2009, Robert Downey Jr. played Sherlock Holmes in the movie Sherlock Holmes, directed by Guy Ritchie. And then a sequel to that film called Sherlock Holmes, The Book of Shadows. I think it was Game of Shadows, actually. Came out in 2011. And then actually in 2020, Robert Downey Jr. played the title character in the movie Dolittle. That was a fantasy adventure film that is connected to those Dr. Dolittle movies from the 90s. And then outside of being in those 11 movies right there, 8 from the MCU, 2 Sherlock Holmes movies, Dolittle, and Oppenheimer. That's actually 12 right there. Looking at the TV shows this guy has been in, he's been in Saturday Night Live, which is certainly on my radar. I've seen some episodes of SNL, not every single one. Similarly, Downey Jr. was in Family Guy. He played a character called Patrick Pewter Schmidt. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that exactly right. He was in an episode called The Fat Guy Strangler. And that show is once on my radar. I haven't seen every single episode of Family Guy. I haven't sat down and watched all the seasons in order, but I've watched some episodes here and there. And then you have Gwyneth Paltrow, who has been playing Pepper Potts in the MCU for quite a good amount of time. She was in all 3 standalone Iron Man films, along with Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, Spider-Man Homecoming for just a little bit. And I think those are the only MCU films that Pepper Potts has appeared in. So that would be 6 different movies right there. Outside of that, let's see here. What else has Gwyneth Paltrow done? She was in a movie called The Talented Mr. Ripley that came out back in 1999. That was written and directed by Anthony Minghella, based on a novel of the same name. Let's see. Gwyneth Paltrow played Marge Sherwood in that movie, outside of The Talented Mr. Ripley. She was also in a movie called Contagion that came out back in 2011, medical disaster thriller film directed by Steven Soderbergh. And then side of that, doesn't look like I've seen any of the other movies or TV shows that she's been in. Looking here, list of Gwyneth Paltrow performances. Okay. No, I'm not seeing anything here. Yeah, I'm not. Okay. She has been in Saturday Night Live before, so there's a bit of a connection there. But then you also have Terrence Howard, who played James Rhodes in the first Iron Man movie. Let's see, what else has he been in? Okay, I don't think I've seen any other movies or TV shows he's been in. Um, Scrolling through his page here. Um, Actually, no, I'm wrong. He was in The Princess and the Frog that came out back in 2009 from Disney Animation. That was directed by John Musker and Ron Clements. Let's see, what character did Terrence Howard play in that movie? Um, he played James, Tiana's father. Outside of that, looking here at the rest of his filmography. Okay. Looking at his TV shows. Okay, so Terrence Howard is also in Law and Order LA. It was from 2010 to 2011. He played Senior DDA Jonah Joe Decker. And then he played the same character actually in Law and Order Special Victims Unit back in 2011. I've seen some episodes of Law and Order SVU, not all of them. I haven't seen any of the episodes of the original Law and Order run. So Law and Order is a show that's on my radar, but I haven't ever sat down and watched all the seasons in order. There's a ton of seasons. Also, in Iron Man, you have Jeff Bridges, who played Obadiah Stane, the villain. This guy was also in the 2010 True Grit movie. He was in the film adaptation of the book The Giver that came out back in 2014, I think. Also, actually, Jeff Bridges was in Tron back in 1982. I had forgotten he was in that movie. What character did he play there? He played Kevin Flynn in that movie. And I haven't seen any other stuff that he's been in. And just looking through, you have the 1976 King Kong movie. He played Jack Prescott in that movie. I haven't seen that specific film version of King Kong, but I definitely know King Kong. I've seen the original 1930s black and white movie, the version directed by Peter Jackson, Kong Skull Island, recently Godzilla vs. Kong, The New Empire. So King Kong 1976 is definitely on my radar. And then let's see here all the other movies that he's been in. Okay, so Jeff Bridges is actually in Surf's Up that came out back in 2007. It was produced by Columbia Pictures and Sony Pictures Animation. That's a movie I haven't seen, but it's on my radar because I definitely know Sony Pictures Animation. I've seen both Spider-Verse films. I watched Across the Spider-Verse in theaters, and I've seen Mitchell's versus the Machines before. That's a fantastic movie. It stands out as a Netflix original that's actually really good. And then Jeff Bridges is in Tron Legacy. I haven't seen that one, but I've watched the original Tron, so Tron Legacy is on my radar. I watched the 2010 True Grit movie once because that was what my friends at the time wanted to watch, so I watched it with them. Then what else is Jeff Bridges? Oh, he was in Kingsman: The Golden Circle. I had completely forgotten that he was in that movie. Let's see. What character did he play there? Played Champagne Champ. And I think that's the dog actually, isn't it? I don't remember exactly. And then we look at TV shows. He has been in Saturday Night Live before. Also, in Iron Man, you have Leslie Bibb plays Christine Everhart in that movie. She has a more minor role, to be sure. Actually, she also voiced Christine Everhart in What If? And then, let's see, what else has she been in? Um, Outside of Iron Man. Okay. Yeah, outside of Iron Man, I'm not familiar with any other movies or TV shows she's been in, except for the fact that she was in CSI Miami, Crime Scene Investigator Miami, back in 2007. That's a show I haven't seen before, but it's on my radar because that's a genre that I enjoy, law enforcement procedural. I've seen 10 seasons of Criminal Minds and currently watching SWAT, seen some episodes of Law and Order SVU. Then you also have Sean Tobe, Shaun. Tobe played Ho Yinsen in Iron Man. Wow, his character doesn't have a lot of screen time. He leaves a big impact. In fact, Jensen was also in Iron Man 3 for just a little bit. Now let's see, what else has Sean Tobe been in? Okay, so Sean Tobe was in the 2010 Last Airbender movie, written, co-produced, and directed by M. Night Shyamalan. That's based on the Nickelodeon TV show Avatar: The Last Airbender, which I watched for the first time not too long ago. It's a fantastic show, one I would easily recommend. But I know the movie wasn't received particularly well at all. And that's a movie I haven't seen before, but it's on my radar because I've seen Avatar: The Last Airbender. And then looking at TV shows here, I mean, he was in Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman. I haven't seen that TV show, but I definitely know the character of Superman. I've seen the first two Richard Donner Superman films, Man of Steel. Haven't seen a Superman standalone TV shows. I've watched just some episodes of the Justice League TV show that has Superman in it, but that's not a Superman standalone show. I've seen the show Krypton that came out back on Sci-Fi in like 2016. I'm pretty sure that one is connected to Superman because it's about the planet Krypton, but it's set before Krypton's destruction, so it's not specifically about Superman. It's also, Sean Tobe was in Jag back in 1995. I haven't seen Jag specifically, but it's part of a genre I enjoy. Outside of that, he was in using NCIS back in 2008 in one episode. And then I'm not familiar with any of these other TV shows. But also, you have, of course, Samuel L. Jackson, who appears in the post-credit scene of Iron Man as Nick Fury. And this guy has been in a lot of movies and shows. I mean, just looking at movies alone, he's been in both Marvel and Star Wars because he both has been playing Nick Fury in the MCU for a while now. He's in post-credit scene of Iron Man 2, The Avengers, Avengers Age of Ultron, post-credit scene of Infinity War, TV show Secret Invasion, the movie Captain Marvel, and the Marvels as well. No, he hasn't. And then also Captain America: The Winter Soldier. So he's been in a good amount of MCU movies and one TV show. Also, Sam Jackson was Mace Windu in the Star Wars prequels. And then this year, he was in Oppenheimer, directed by who's the director of Argyle? Matthew Vaughn. And then Sam Jackson was also in Jurassic Park. He played that guy who got killed, and then we see just his arm later on in the movie when Ellie's going into that bunker to turn the power back on. Also, Sam Jackson was in both Incredibles movies as Frozone. And then he's in the animated movie Turbo that came out back in 2013. I'm pretty sure that one was from DreamWorks. Let's see here. Yeah, I was right. It's from DreamWorks. And then Sam Jackson is also in, let's see here. I know that he's been in something else that I'm familiar with. Yeah, he was in Coach Carter back in 2005, where he played the coach. His last name is Carter. What's his first name? Ken Carter. And also, Sam Jackson played the main villain in Kingsman: The Secret Service, that guy who has a lisp and really likes McDonald's. And then he was in Kong Skull Island. I don't actually remember what character he was in that movie. Oh, let's see here. He was Preston Packard in Kong Skull Island. And then I'm not familiar with the other movies or TV shows that he's been in. Just looking through here. Okay, yeah. Doesn't look like. I'm not seeing anything else here that I'm familiar with. Okay, actually, Sam Jackson actually played Hondo Harrelson on SWAT back in 2003. That's a law enforcement procedural TV show. I did not realize that. And then, let's see here. Oh, I forgot. Nick Fury is also in the post-credit scene of 4, actually. So if we include the post-credit scenes, he's been in quite a good amount of MCU movies. And then, oh, he was also in the RoboCop remake from 2014. Let's see. Sam Jackson played Pat Novak in that movie. I haven't seen the RoboCop remake, but I've seen the Paul Verhoeven original film, so the remake is certainly on my radar. And then, what else? Oh, Sam Jackson was also in The Legend of Tarzan that came out back in 2016. I've seen that film before and enjoy it. What character did Sam Jackson play there? He played George Washington Williams. I had completely forgotten he was in that movie. And then, let's see. Oh, then Nick Fury was in Spider-Man: Far From Home, and he's been in a lot of MCU movies. I did not remember well all the movies he's been in. And then, okay, yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff. That is for sure. Now I'm gonna look at the TV shows that he's been in. He was on Law and Order back in 1991, and then he's done Saturday Night Live, and yeah. Oh, I forgot. Actually, Nick Fury also appeared in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. from Marvel Television that started off being connected to the MCU movies, but gradually got more and more disconnected as it went on. Side of that, and being in What If, actually, along with Secret Invasion. I'm not familiar with the other TV shows Sam Jackson has been in. And then you have Clark Gregg, who started playing Phil Coulson back in that first Iron Man movie, then showed up in Iron Man 2, Captain Marvel, where he was younger, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Captain America. Well, he's in the Avengers, actually. He wasn't in Captain America Winter Soldier because Phil Coulson dies in the Avengers, though he's brought back in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Outside of being Phil Coulson, let's see. What else has Clark Gregg done? Doesn't look like I'm familiar with the other movies or shows that he's done. Oh, actually, I had forgotten. Clark Gregg is an AI artificial intelligence, came out back in 2001, directed by Steven Spielberg, one of the best directors working in Hollywood today. I'd say the best director right now. Let's see. In that movie, Clark Gregg played a employee of Cybertronics Corp. So I think his role is more minor. And then, let's see here. What else? Okay, yeah, I'm not familiar with the other movies he's been in, but Clark Gregg was on Law and Order back in 1991, along with the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. I haven't seen the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles before, but I've seen the Indiana Jones movies, so that show is definitely on my radar. And outside of that, what else? Oh, Clark Gregg was actually in The Shield back in 2004. He appeared in 2 episodes. He was also in CSI NY, CSI New York back in 2005. He was in 1 episode. And then, yeah, I'm not familiar with the other TV shows he's been in. So, right, when it comes to Iron Man, that's going to cover it right there. So now let's move on to the Incredible Hulk and look at Edward Norton, the guy who was Bruce Banner Hulk in that movie. What else has this guy done? Um, he was in Kingdom of Heaven back in 2005. That movie's directed and produced by Ridley Scott. And I saw the one for the first time not actually that long ago with a friend up in the Twin Cities. And then let's see here. What else has Edward Norton been in? Um okay, I'm not Okay, so Edward Norton was in the Simpsons movie back in 2007 where he played Panicky Man. I've seen episodes of the Simpsons TV show. I haven't watched the Simpsons movie before, but it's definitely on my radar. And then Edward Norton. Okay, I haven't seen any of the other movies he's been in. Actually, Edward Norton was also on the Simpsons TV show. He was in 2 different episodes, and then he's been on Saturday Night Live before. I'm not familiar with the other TV shows he's been in. Then you have Liv Tyler, who played Betty Ross in The Incredible Hulk. She was actually in the Lord of the Rings movies. And also Michael Bay's Armageddon. And let's see what she played Arwen in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And then what else has she been in? Um, okay, it doesn't look like I'm familiar with the other stuff that she's been in. She played Grace in Michael Bay's Armageddon. Um, okay, yeah, I'm not familiar with her from anything else. Then you also have Thaddeus Ross. I don't remember the name of the actor who played him in The Incredible Hulk, and then he came back for Captain America Civil War and Black Widow. Let's see. What's that? William Hurt is the name of the actor. Let's see. What else has he done? Um, oh, he was actually in AI Artificial Intelligence along with the 2010 Robin Hood movie. Oh, let's see. What character did he play in AI Artificial Intelligence? Professor Alan Hobby. And then I've seen the Robin Hood 2010 movie before, along with the animated Robin Hood film. Then it doesn't look like I've seen any of the TV shows that William Hurt has been in. Let's see here. Hey, so William Hurt was actually in the 2004 Frankenstein movie where he played Professor Waldman. That was a television miniseries. I haven't seen that before specifically, but I definitely know Frankenstein because I've watched the original 1930s Frankenstein before with Boris Karloff. And then, um, all right, William Hurt has been on Saturday Night Live before, and he's in the 2013 show Bonnie and Clyde, where played Frank Hammer. I definitely know the story of Bonnie and Clyde, and then he's actually on a. Okay, outside of all those things, I'm not familiar with William Hurt from anything else. Then you have Tim Roth, who played the Abomination in The Incredible Hulk and then came back for the TV show She-Hulk. Let's see. Tim Roth was also in. Oh, so Tim Roth was actually in the 2001 Planet of the Apes movie, directed by Tim Burton. He played General Fade in that movie. I've seen that version of Planet of the Apes before, though I haven't rewatched it anytime recently, and I don't have any desire to rewatch it because I'm not a fan of it. Um, let's see. Tim Roth is also in. Okay, I haven't seen any of the other movies he's been in. Then looking at TV shows here, um, outside of She-Hulk, of course, I haven't seen any of the TV shows Tim Roth has been in. And then you have Tim Blake Nelson, who played that Doctor Scientist guy in The Incredible Hulk, who might end up becoming the leader after the events of that movie. That's something that's never been followed up on. But also, Tim Blake Nelson was actually in Minority Report, directed by Steven Spielberg, based on a short story from Philip K. Dick. In that movie, Tim Blake Nelson played Gideon, a guard of the pre-crime prison. Also, Tim Blake Nelson was actually in the 2012 Lincoln movie, directed and produced by Steven Spielberg. I've seen that movie before. Then, side of that, it doesn't look like I'm familiar with any of the other stuff that he's been in. Oh, actually, Tim Blake Nelson was in Scooby Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed, where he played Dr. Jonathan Jacobo. I've seen that movie before, not recently. Man, it's not good. And then, oh, actually, I completely forgotten. Tim Blake Nelson was in the 2015 Fantastic Four movie where he played Dr. Allen. And then let's see. Tim Blake Nelson was actually in Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio that came out back in 2022. I haven't seen this specific version of Pinocchio, but I've watched the original animated Pinocchio and the live action films. So this version of Pinocchio is definitely on my radar. And then he was in a deleted scene from Dune Part 2. And then looking at TV shows, Tim Blake Nelson was in CSI Crime Scene Investigation back in 2009. And not familiar with any of the other. I'm not familiar with any of the other stuff he's been in. And that's all the major characters in The Incredible Hulk. Now let's move on to Iron Man 2. So first of all, you have Sam Rockwell, who played Justin Hammer in Iron Man 2. This guy was actually in Argyle earlier on this year. Outside of that, what else has he done? He was actually in The Green Mile back in 1999. What character did Sam Rockwell play there? He played William Wild Bill Wharton. And then he was in, other movies that I'm not familiar with. Okay, then we have Mickey Rourke, who played Whiplash, Ivan Vanko in Iron Man 2. What else has he done? He is actually in Rainmaker 1997. I had completely forgotten he is in this movie. It's one I'm definitely a fan of. What character did he play? He played J. Lyman Bruiser Stone in Rainmaker. And Yeah, I haven't seen any of the other movies that he's been in. I'm just looking here at a list of all the movies that he's done. Um, yeah, I'm not familiar with any of these other ones, nor have I seen any of the TV shows that he's been in. They're not even ones that are on my radar. Then let's see, you have Gary Shinling, the actor Gary Shandling, the actor who played that Senator Stearns in Iron Man 2, who then came back in Captain America: The Winter Soldier, where it's revealed he's actually a Hydra agent. Um, what else has Gary Shandling done? Oh, he actually played Vern the Turtle in Over the Hedge. It's one of the animated films from DreamWorks. And then he was also Ikki in the live action Jungle Book movie. What character is that? You have Mowgli, Bagheera, Baloo, Shere Khan, Rakshi, the wolf mother to Mowgli. Who's Ikki? Um, oh, um, oh, so he had a very minor role in the live action Jungle Book movie, a character that had like one line of dialogue. And then it doesn't look like I'm familiar with any other stuff. Gary Shandling. Oh, he actually was in Doctor Doolittle back in 1998. I had completely forgotten about that. What character did he play in this movie? Um, he played a male pigeon in there, one of the animals that can talk. Then what else? Um, yeah, I'm not familiar. Oh, Gary Shandling has also been on Saturday Night Live before, and um, not familiar with the other stuff he's been in. And that really covers it for the new Iron Man 2 characters, not a lot of them. So now let's move on to 4. So first of all, you have Anthony Hopkins, who plays Odin. He in the 4 movies, along with, I think it's just the 4 movies actually. What else? I know Anthony Hopkins was in Transformers: The Last Knight. We played that British guy. What else has he done? He's in The Mask of Zorro, 1998. I'm definitely familiar with the story of Zorro. I recall seeing a Zorro film once before back when I was in school, but I don't remember which specific one it was. And it doesn't look like I'm familiar with any of the other stuff that he's done. Well, then you have Rene Russo, who played Frigga in the first 2 4 movies and then came back for one scene in Endgame. What else has what else has she done? Um, oh, Rene Russo was in a movie called In the Line of Fire that released back in 1993. Don't remember what character she played. Secret Service agent Lily Rains in there. Outside of that, um, doesn't look like I'm familiar with other stuff that she's been in. Yeah. Also, you have Tom Hiddleston, who's actually done both Marvel and DC because he was in the DCEU film Blue Beetle alongside famously being Loki in all 4 movies: Avengers: Infinity War, Endgame, and the TV show Loki. Also, Tom Hiddleston was in Kong Skull Island. Outside of those things, what else? He was in the movie War Horse, directed by Steven Spielberg, and um, yeah, it doesn't look like I'm familiar with any of the other stuff that he's been in. Okay, so those are good amount. Those are a good amount of the major characters. You also have Stellan Skarsgård, who played that scientist. Why am I forgetting about his name? Um, actually, I had forgotten Stellan Skarsgård is in both Dune movies. Actually, he played Baron Harkonnen in the two Dune movies directed by Denis Villeneuve. Then he played Dr. Eric Selvig in the first two four movies, Avengers and Avengers: Age of Ultron. This guy has actually also been in Star Wars before because he played Luthen Rael in the TV show Andor. So it's interesting. You have one of these actors been in both Marvel and Star Wars. Then, Stellan Skarsgård is actually in both Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, and At World's End. Man, I'd completely forgotten he was in both those movies. And then he also was in the 2008 Mamma Mia movie that I've seen before. That one is actually nostalgic for me because I've had this ABBA CD for a long time, for years now. I used to listen to it back in the day when I actually used physical discs to listen to music, not just YouTube. And then what else has Stellan Skarsgård done? Um, hmm, I'm not seeing anything else here that I'm familiar with. Well, he was actually in the 2013 Romeo and Juliet movie where he played the Prince of Verona. That's definitely nostalgic for me because I actually read the Shakespeare play Romeo and Juliet back when I was in school, read it for English class. And I feel like I've seen the Kenneth Branagh directed version of Romeo and Juliet before. And then he is also actually in the 2015 Cinderella movie, the live action remake, where he played the Grand Duke. I've seen the original Disney animated version of Cinderella. I haven't seen the live action remake, but because I've seen the original film, the live action one is definitely on my radar. And he is actually in Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again as well, where he played Bill Anderson slash Kurt. And then, and when it comes to the television shows, I'm not outside of Andor. The only other one I'm familiar with is The Simpsons, where he actually played himself back in 2020. And then you also have Jane Foster, who played Dr. Not Darcy Lewis, played the character in the first two four movies. Why am I blanking on her name right now? Oh, no, Jane Foster is the name of the character in the MCU. Natalie Portman is the name of the actress. That's right. So you have Natalie Portman, who played Jane Foster in the first two four movies, and then came back for Thor: Love and Thunder. Jane Foster has also been in Star Wars, as she played Padme Amidala in the Star Wars prequels. Outside of those two roles, I'm not sure off the top of my head what else she's done. Let's see here. Um, Yeah, it doesn't look like I'm familiar with any of the other stuff that she's been in. Yeah, then when it comes to TV shows. Okay, so Natalie Portman has been on The Simpsons for a few episodes. She's done Saturday Night Live before. Jane Foster was in the TV show What If. I'm not familiar with any of the other stuff she's done. Then you have Kat Dennings, who played Darcy Lewis in the first two four movies and then came back for the TV show WandaVision. Outside of being Darcy Lewis, I don't really know what else she's done. Um, doesn't look like I'm familiar with any of these other movies. No, I'm not. TV shows. She was on CSI Crime Scene Investigation back in 2004. She played Missy Wilson. And then she was on CSI NY back in 2005. And she was on Simpsons for one episode back in 2017. And that's it. Now we've talked about all the major characters that are introduced in 4. So let's move on to Captain America: The First Avenger. To start with, let's talk about Hugo Weaving, as this guy was actually in The Matrix as Agent Smith. He played Agent Smith in the first 3 Matrix movies. I think he came back for Matrix Resurrections, actually. Um, Yeah, then Hugo Weaving is also actually Elrond in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Plus, he also played Johann Schmidt, Red Skull, and Captain America: The First Avenger, who then came back in Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame. Then Hugo Weaving is also in Happy Feet and Happy Feet 2 that were produced by what studio? They're distributed by Warner Brothers Pictures, Roadshow Films. Okay, so not really something that I'm too familiar with. Um, Warner Brothers Pictures, actually, that's the studio behind Harry Potter, DC Universe, Batman, Lord of the Rings, and MonsterVerse. So actually, I'd forgotten this studio is behind a lot of different franchises. In the So actually, in that sense, Happy Feet is on my radar. Then he was also in a movie called Babe that came out back in 1995. That's an adaptation of a novel from Dick Kane Smith. I'm not familiar with that movie. I haven't seen it, but I've watched other talking animal movies. Also, Hugo Weaving was actually Megatron in Transformers from 2007 to 2011, and also Elrond is in the Hobbit trilogy too. Also, let's see. Doesn't look like I'm familiar with anything else that Hugo Weaving has been in. Um, he was actually doesn't okay. So Hugo Weaving is actually in Legends of the Guardians: The Owls of Ga'Hoole that came out back in 2010, directed by Zack Snyder. That's based on a book series called Guardians of the Ga'Hoole. There's nostalgia there for me because I've actually read these books called Wolves of the Beyond that are spin-offs to the Guardians of Ga'Hoole. I read them years ago. I don't recall reading any of the main books that are part of the Guardians of the Ga'Hoole series, but because I've read those spin-off books before, there's some connection there. And then what else is Hugo Weaving done? Oh, he was actually in Hacksaw Ridge, where he played Tom Doss. I've seen that movie. It's, I think, a really good one. And then looking at TV shows, um, not familiar if anyone's he's been in. Also, you have Haley Atwell, who started playing Peggy Carter in the MCU in Captain America: The First Avenger, and then she's in Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Ant-Man for that one scene, Avengers Endgame, but not Infinity War, and then What If, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Let's see, outside of being Peggy Carter, what else has Haley Atwell done? Um, she was actually in the live action Cinderella movie, the 2018 movie called Christopher Robin. That one I've seen before and really enjoyed. And then she was actually one of the main characters in Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, and is going to be in the upcoming Mission Impossible movie in 2025. Also, Haley Atwell was actually in Agents of Shield. Oh yeah, she played Peggy Carter in a few episodes of that show. Aside of all these things, what else has she done? Um, Yeah, I'm not familiar with other TV shows she's done. But even though I haven't seen all the Mission Impossible movies, I've watched the first one before, so Mission Impossible is definitely on my radar. And then you have Tommy Lee Jones, who plays that colonel, the military guy in Captain America, the first Avenger. Colonel Phillips, his name. Yeah. Tommy Lee Jones also was Two-Face in Joel Schumacher's Batman Forever. He's Agent Key in Men in Black. Men in Black. He's in the movie The Client, adaptation of a novel of the same name from John Grisham. And then Tommy Lee Jones is in a movie called The Fugitive, and I think he's in some other movies that are similar to that one. Um, let's see. Yeah, he played U.S. Marshal Samuel Gerard in The Fugitive that came out back in 1993. And then he played Congressman Thaddeus Stevens in Lincoln, which came out back in 2012. And then he was in. I'm not familiar with the other movies that he's done. Let's see. Has he been in TV shows that I'm familiar with? No, I'm not familiar with any of the other TV shows that he's been in. You also have, of course, Chris Evans, who started playing Steve Rogers, Captain America, in this movie, and then he went on to be in free standalone Captain America films, every Avengers movie, later the TV show. Well, Steve Rogers, Captain America, was in What If, but I don't know if it was specifically Chris Evans who voiced him in that show. Also, Chris Evans was actually Buzz Lightyear in the movie Lightyear, and he was Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, in the two early 2000s Fantastic Four films. And then he was in the 2007 TMNT film, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And then he is in some other movies I haven't seen before. And when it comes to TV shows, let's see. Not familiar with any of the other stuff he's been in. Now you also have Sebastian Stan, who started playing Bucky Barnes in this movie and then has appeared in all three standalone Captain America films, Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame. I think he was in Avengers. Yeah, he was in Avengers Infinity War. And also, Sebastian Stan was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and he was in The Martian, actually, that came out back in 2015. That movie is directed by Ridley Scott. I really enjoy it. And not familiar with the other stuff that he's been in. Oh, actually, it's like Bucky had a cameo in Ant-Man in the post-credit scene. Actually, he also was in Black. He also had a cameo in Black Panther during the post-credit scene as well. And I'm not familiar with the other movies that Sebastian Stan has been in, but he actually was in Law and Order back in 2003. He's in one episode. And I'm not familiar with the other stuff he's done. Now, we also have Toby Jones, who was Arnim Zola in Captain America: The First Avenger and The Winter Soldier, then came back for What If. Also, Toby Jones is in this TV show called Wayward Pines that me and my mom actually watched together back when we lived in New York, and then I watched it again not too long ago. I think it's really good. It's based on a series of novels called Wayward Pines. Also, Toby Jones was in one of the Indiana Jones movies, looks like. Oh, he was actually Dobby in Harry Potter. Specifically, that character first appeared in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. And then he appeared in Deathly Hallows Part 1. He died in that movie. Also, oh, Toby Jones is the owl in Christopher Robin 2018. I had forgotten that. And then he played Mr. Eversole in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom and was Basil Shaw in Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And also, the character of Arnim Zola was in Agent Carter and What If. And then, not familiar with the other stuff that he's been in, other than the fact that he was in an episode of the BBC crime drama Sherlock. I've seen the 2009 Sherlock Holmes movie, and I've actually been to the Sherlock Holmes exhibit that I don't think is there anymore at the Minnesota History Center. I really enjoyed that. Am I familiar with Toby Jones from anything else? He was in Finding Neverland that came out back in 2004. He played Smee in that movie. I definitely am familiar with the story of Peter Pan. The movie Finding Neverland is actually about playwright J.M. Barrie and his relationship with a family who inspired him to create Peter Pan. I haven't specifically watched Finding Neverland, but I've seen the original Disney animated version of Peter Pan along with Hook and the 2003 live action film. And then Toby Jones is in Amazing Grace, where he played Duke of Clarence. I know the song Amazing Grace. I haven't specifically watched the 2006 movie called Amazing Grace, but it's definitely on my radar. And then he was actually in Muppets Most Wanted back in 2014. I definitely am familiar with that one in the sense that while I haven't watched Muppets Most Wanted, I used to have the Muppet movie on VHS tape back when I lived in New York. I watched it quite a good amount of times and actually sung the song Rainbow Connection quite a good amount of times. It was fun. I don't have really any of those VHS tapes anymore other than one. Also, let's see. Toby Jones is not in anything else that I'm familiar with. Looking at his the TV shows he's been in, I'm not outside of Wayward Pines, Agent Carter, and What If. I'm in Sherlock, as I mentioned earlier. I'm not familiar with other stuff that he's been in. So that's going to cover all the major new characters introduced in Captain America the First Avenger. Because the other Howling Commandos are so forgettable, I'm not even going to talk about that. So now let's move on to the Avengers. Loki was already introduced at this point, so was Eric Selvig. Not really a lot of new characters in this case. We've seen most of them before, other than Jeremy Renner, technically appeared in 4 for just a tiny bit, but this was his first major appearance. So let's see, what else has Jeremy Renner been in? He was actually in the 2003 movie called SWAT. I did not know there was a movie. I know the TV show SWAT, but wow, there's actually a movie made based on the 1975 TV show that came out back in 2003. Huh, interesting. And then, what else? Cool. Jeremy Renner was in Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol back in 2011 and also Rogue Nation in 2015. Then he was actually in the 2016 movie Arrival, directed by Denis Villeneuve. I had forgotten he was in that one. And then he's actually in the 2017 movie called Wind River, which also actually has Elizabeth Olsen in it. I had forgotten he was in that movie. And then, let's see, what else has Jeremy Renner done? Not anything else I'm familiar with. When I look at the TV shows he's been in, he was in CSI Crime Scene Investigation back in 2001. He was in one episode. And then he's been on Saturday Night Live before. The character was in What If. And then actually in Echo, technically, too, though it's archive footage from the TV show Hawkeye, so pretty small role there. Then you have Scarlett Johansson. I actually forgot to talk about her earlier when it was looking at Iron Man 2, but that's fine. There's not a lot of new characters here, so let's look at this now. Scarlett Johansson was first Black Widow in Iron Man 2, and then she was in The Avengers, Captain America the Winter Soldier, all four Avengers movies, and then her own standalone movie, Black Widow. Also, this actress was in the live action Jungle Book movie where she played the snake Ka. And then outside of that, what else has she done? Um, I'm not familiar with other things that she's done. Outside of Hawkeye and Black Widow, are there other new characters from the Avengers? I'm not going to look at Thanos here because he has such a small amount of screen time. I could look at the actor that plays that character, the guy creature who's the servant of Thanos. Let's see, well, you actually have Kobe Smulders, who started playing Agent Maria Hill in the MCU with the Avengers, and then she was in Captain America: The Winter Soldier. And I'm trying to remember what else has Maria Hill been in? She Oh, actually, Kobe Smulders was in the Lego Movie from 2014 and the Lego Movie 2. I had completely forgotten she was in those movies. I don't remember what character she played in those films. Let's see. So, okay, Maria Hill first was in the Avengers, then Captain America: The Winter Soldier, then Avengers: Age of Ultron, then Avengers: Infinity War in the post-credit scene. Then it had a cameo in Endgame. She was in Spider-Man: Far From Home. And then I'm not familiar with the other movies Colby Smulders has been in. When I look at TV shows, she was in Smallville back in 2004. Not a TV show that I've seen, but it's about DC characters, about teenage Clark Kent, and then Lex Luthor's in there. So because of that, it's on my radar. And then, actually, Maria Hill was in 3 episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. too. And then actually, she was in The Simpsons back in 2020. She was in 1 episode. And then Maria Hill was in 3 episodes of Secret Invasion. Then you have, let's see here. Who's the actor that played the other? I don't know. I can't figure that out. So let's move on to Iron Man 3. So first of all, you have Ben Kingsley, who started playing Trevor Slattery in Iron Man 3, and then he's in the Marvel one-shot All Hail the King. Actually, Agent Peggy Carter's in a Marvel one-shot too. And actually, yeah, that one called A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to Thor's Hammer. That is Phil Coulson in it. And yeah, I can't think of other characters I talked about so far there in the Marvel one-shots. You have Trevor Slattery started in appearing in Iron Man 3, then he returned for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Also, Ben Kingsley was in the 2010 Shutter Island movie, directed by Martin Scorsese. And also, he was in the live-action Jungle Book movie where he played Bagheera. And also, you have Guy Pearce, who played Aldrich Killian in Iron Man 3. He was also in Prometheus, where he played the Wayland guy. For some reason, they put him in all this makeup so that he would look like a really old guy. I don't know why. Outside of Ben Kingsley and Guy Pearce, there are other major characters introduced too. Not really. But you also have Don Cheadle. I actually haven't talked about him yet. He started playing James Rhodes back in Iron Man 2, and then he was in Iron Man 3. Let's see, what else has Don Cheadle, done? Yeah, I'm not familiar with any of the other things he's done. Now let's move on to For the Dark World. So you have the actor who played the generic forgettable villain in that movie, Malekith, I think is his name. It's hard to even remember his name. That guy is really well known actually for being in Doctor Who. I haven't seen Doctor Who, but I've definitely heard that Christopher Eccleston is well known for being in that TV show. He's the ninth incarnation of the Doctor in Doctor Who. Aside of that, what else has he done? Um, okay. Yeah, outside of For the Dark World, I haven't seen him in anything else. And then you have, are there other new characters introduced in For the Dark World? No, so let's move on to Captain America the Winter Soldier. First of all, you have Robert Redford, who played Alexander Pierce in Captain America the Winter Soldier. What else has Robert Redford done? He was in a movie called Souls at Night, which I actually saw in theaters. That movie came out not too long ago, but I don't remember exactly when it came out. Sometime after 2000. Our Souls at Night came out back in 2017. Then actually, Alexander Pierce did appear for one scene in Endgame. Then you have the actor who played Robert Rumlow in Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Frank Grillo. His character then showed up in Civil War. He dies in that movie. Let's see. Oh, Brock Rumlow was also in What If. And then he was in The Shield back in 2002, 2003. I have not seen that specific law enforcement procedural show before, but it's on my radar because I like that genre. But I'm not familiar with Frank Grillo from anything else. Are there other major new characters we're introduced to in Winter Soldier? No, those are the big ones. So let's move on to Guardians of the Galaxy. First of all, you have Chris Pratt, who started being Star-Lord in this movie, and then he was in two other standalone Guardians movies, and he was also in both Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, and then Star-Lord showed up again in What If. Also, Chris Pratt was in the new Jurassic World trilogy, where he played Owen Grady, and he was Mario in the Super Mario Brothers movie that came out last year. And outside of that, I can't think right now of other. Wait a minute. He was in both Lego movies, actually. Yeah, that's right. He played the main character in both those movies. He's actually had a supporting role in Jennifer's Body that came out back in 2009, which I've seen before. It's a horror film that I only watched because someone I was with wanted to watch it. And then Chris Pratt was also in Moneyball back in 2011, which I've seen before. That's based on a book, the same name. Then you have Her, that came out back in 2013. I've seen that movie. Actually, Scarlett Johansson, I talked about earlier, is in Her. She plays Samantha in that movie. I had forgotten that. And then I don't remember the character Chris Pratt played in Her. And also, let's see. He was in Onward, actually, that came out back in 2020. That's one of Pixar's films. I had completely forgotten Chris Pratt was in Onward. I think he played one of the two brothers. I know one of them was played by Tom Holland. I think the other one was played by Chris Pratt. Yeah, exactly. Chris Pratt played Barley Lightfoot in Onward. And then I'm not sure what else Chris Pratt has done. Let's see here. Oh yeah, he played Jim Preston in Passengers, which came out back in 2016. I've seen that movie before. And then Chris Pratt was actually in Tomorrow War that came out back in 2021. He played Dan Forrester in that movie. I've seen that one before. I really enjoyed it. And then he's actually going to be Garfield in the Garfield movie that's coming out this year, which hasn't been released yet. Also, you funnily enough have Vin Diesel, big name. He's in the original Guardians of the Galaxy, but it can be easy to forget he's in that movie because he plays Groot, character that isn't a human, doesn't have a human face, and barely even talks. So it's pretty funny that for such a easy, even though it's such an easy thing to do, they got Vin Diesel for Groot. He's really well known for being Dominic Toretto in Fast and the Furious. Other than that, he was actually in Saving Private Ryan back in 1998. I had forgotten that. And then he was in Iron Giant back in 1999. That's a really good movie. And then um, he's actually in Ralph Breaks the Internet as well. That's a movie I enjoy. I'd forgotten he was in it. And actually, Vin Diesel was also Groot, not only in Guardians of the Galaxy, but in the Disney Plus short series I Am Groot, in the television special Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Also, you have Bradley Cooper, the voice of Rocket Raccoon, who's been doing this for quite a good amount of time now. Let's see, what else has Bradley Cooper done? He was in American Sniper back in 2014. I've seen that movie. And then he produced Joker, and I haven't really seen him in anything else. You also have Zoe Saldana, who played Gamora in the MCU for a while. You got version 1 of Gamora that was in the free standalone, the first two, I mean, standalone Guardians movies, and then in Avengers Infinity War, then in Endgame and Guardians Volume 3, you have alternate Gamora. Let's see, what has Zoe Saldana done other than being Gamora in the MCU? She's in 2 episodes of Law and Order, actually, back in 1999. She was Nyota Uhura in Star Trek. I had completely forgotten that. And then she also did voice the character Neytiri in the Avatar films from James Cameron. All right. And then, so I've actually seen Zoe Saldana in several different things. I've forgotten that. Then you also have the wrestler who still playing Drax in the MCU. What's that guy's name? Let's see. Dave Bautista. That's the name of an actor. Dave Bautista was a wrestler, and then he's become well known for being Drax the Destroyer in the MCU. And also, he was Glossu Rabban Harkonnen in Dune 2021. I had forgotten that. And it doesn't look like I'm familiar with any of the other stuff that he's been in. Well, actually, he was Argo Male in the Scorpion King Free Battle for Redemption, which came out back in 2011. I've seen The Mummy Returns, where the character of the Scorpion King is originally introduced. And then I haven't seen the Scorpion King standalone films, but those ones are definitely on my radar. And then Dave Bautista is actually in Blade Runner 2049, where he played Sapper Morton. I've seen the original Blade Runner from Ridley Scott before. I haven't yet gotten to Blade Runner 2049. I definitely plan to watch it. And then okay, I haven't seen him in anything else, but then Dave Bautista was also in Smallville back in 2006, where he played Aldar. And aside from the Guardians Holiday Special, and I haven't seen him in anything else. Now that covers the 5 Guardians. You also have Lee Pace, who played the villain in Guardians of the Galaxy, Ronan the Accuser. What else? He also was in Captain Marvel, Ronan the Accuser was. Outside of that, what else has Lee Pace been in? He was actually the Galactic Emperor Brother Day in the TV show Foundation, which is based on stories from Isaac Asimov. I haven't watched Foundation before, but I've seen the I, Robot movie, which is also based on works from Isaac Asimov. So Foundation is on my radar. And let's see, has he been in anything else? He was actually Phil Winslow in the 2010 movie Marmaduke and Fernando Wood in Lincoln. And then he's actually Fran Dwyer in the Hobbit trilogy. And yeah, I haven't. He was also on Law and Order Special Victims Unit back in 2002. And I'm not familiar with any of these other TV shows he's been in. Then you have Karen Gillan, who was well known for being Nebula in the MCU. What else has Karen Gillan been in? She um she played Ruby Roadhouse in Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle and Jumanji The Next Level. I haven't seen those movies specifically, but I watched the original Jumanji, so the two sequels are on my radar. And doesn't look like I've seen her in anything else. So now let's move on because we're not going to talk about Thanos yet. So now we're moving on to Age of Ultron. James Spader played Ultron in that movie. Let's see what else he's done. He was in Lincoln. Doesn't look like I'm familiar with any of this other stuff that he's been in. Actually, he was Robert California in The Office in 2011, 2012. I've seen some episodes of The Office before. I haven't gone through all the seasons in order, but I've watched a few episodes here and there. Also, aside from Ultron, this is where we're really introduced to Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. They're not given those names yet, but this is when we first see them in a major way. They're in the Winter Soldier post-credit scene, but you really see them in Avengers Age of Ultron. First of all, when it comes to Aaron Taylor Johnson, he was also in Kong, the King Kong. No, I'm thinking of the 2014 Godzilla movie, directed by Gareth Edwards, who also did The Creator and Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Aaron Taylor Johnson actually played the title character in both Kick-Ass and Kick-Ass 2, which I had forgotten. He was Pietro Maximoff in Avengers Age of Ultron. And then he was in other movies that I'm not familiar with. And actually, he was in the movie Tenet. He played Ives. And then when I look at the TV shows Aaron Taylor Johnson has been in, he was in Sherlock Holmes and the Baker Street Irregulars. That was a TV movie. Sherlock Holmes is a character I'm familiar with. Then you have Elizabeth Olsen, who's also in a movie called Wind Rivers, came out back in 2017. Outside of that, and being Wanda Maximoff, Scarlet Witch in the MCU, I don't know what else she's done. She was actually in 2014 Godzilla film. So this is pretty funny that Aaron Taylor Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen were in Godzilla 2014, and then they were both in Avengers Age of Ultron. Doesn't look like I'm familiar with any other stuff that she's done. She was also in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, but you look at the TV shows, other than WandaVision, What If, also being in Saturday Night Live at least once, I'm not familiar with the other TV shows Elizabeth Olsen has been in. There aren't any other major new characters. Actually, Andy Serkis. Yeah, that's right. He started playing Ulysses Klaue in Avengers Age of Ultron. And then we saw Klaue again in Black Panther. He's killed in that movie. Andy Serkis is a really big name actor because he was Caesar in the new Planet of the Apes trilogy. Started with Rise of the Planet of the Apes back in 2011, and then Dawn of the Planet of the Apes came out 2014, and then War for the Planet of the Apes came out back in 2017. Also, Andy Serkis has actually played two different characters in Star Wars. Pretty funny. He was both Supreme Leader Snoke in the Star Wars sequel trilogy. He was supposed to be the big bad villain, but then that didn't end up happening. Then Andy Serkis is also Kino Loy in the TV show Andor, and in the King Kong movie directed by Peter Jackson. Andy Serkis both plays a character in that movie, and he did the motion capture for King Kong. And also, Andy Serkis was Gollum in Lord of the Rings. And you look at all different roles he's done, one thing is for sure, this guy is so good at motion capture. I mean, between Gollum, King Kong, and Caesar, he did such a good job. With Caesar, by a certain point, you totally forget you're looking at a visual effect and you just see a character. And when it comes to King Kong, unlike Caesar, Kong doesn't talk at all, but yet Andy Serkis is able to communicate so much just through facial expressions, body language, all these nonverbal cues. And then with Gollum, and Andy Serkis is able to talk to himself convincingly on screen and effortlessly switch between two different personalities. Outside of Ulysses Claw and these other characters I just talked about, yeah, we don't meet any other major new characters in this movie. So let's move on now to Ant-Man. First of all, you have Paul Rudd, who started playing Scott Lang, Ant-Man in this movie, and then he was in two other standalone Ant-Man films, as well as Avengers Endgame. And then Ant-Man is pretty sure was in What If as well. Paul Rudd is also in Ghostbusters Afterlife and Frozen Empire. He plays that teacher. Then you have Michael Douglas, who started playing Hank Pym in Ant-Man, and then he was in the two sequels to it, as well as Avengers Endgame. Michael Douglas was also in the Robert Zemeckis-directed classic Romancing the Stone, where he played this adventure guy. And then outside of these two roles, I don't know what else Michael Douglas has done. Let's see here. Oh, he played Gordon Gekko in the movie Wall Street that came out back in 1987. And then you have other movies that I'm not familiar with. And I don't think I've seen any of the TV shows he's been in. You also have Evangeline Lilly, who started playing Hope Van Dyne, the Wasp, in Ant-Man, and then she's in the two sequels. Evangeline Lilly has also done other things, but let's see, what are they? Oh, she's actually Tauriel in the Hobbit trilogy. Actually, specifically in Desolation of Smaug and the Battle of the Five Armies. So she wasn't in the first Hobbit movie, but in the other two. And then I don't think I've seen her in anything else. Oh, actually, she played Bailey Talent in the movie Real Steel that came out back in 2011. I've seen that before. I think it's good. I watched it originally with friends of mine who I did things with back when I lived in New York. And then I haven't seen anything else that Evangeline Lilly has been in. She was in Smallville back in 2002 to 2004, which is on my radar. Also, you have Michael Pena, who started playing Scott Lang's friend in the first Ant-Man movie. Then he was in Ant-Man the Wasp, but not Quantumania, unfortunately. What else has Michael Pena done? Oh, he was in The Martian, and I don't think I know him from anything else. Oh, he was actually in Battle Los Angeles, which came out back in 2011, and he was actually in Turbo as Tito Lopez, and okay. Michael Pena is also in the Lego Ninjago movie. I haven't seen that movie before specifically, but I've watched the Lego Batman movie along with both Lego movies. I like all of those ones. And then you have the actor who played the villain in Ant-Man, the generic, forgettable Obadiah Stane-esque villain that's not memorable at all. I don't even remember the name of the actor that played the character in the first Ant-Man movie. The problem wasn't the actor. He was given such a generic, bland character that he wasn't able to do that much. Corey Stoll is the name of the actor that played generic evil businessman in Ant-Man and then returned in Quantumania. What else has Corey Stoll done? He was a regular cast member actually in Law and Order LA from 2010 to 2011. And also, um, yeah, I haven't seen him in anything other than Ant-Man. Outside of that, any other major new characters to talk about? No, you have the other friends of Ant-Man. But let's move on, talk about Captain America's Civil War. So, most notably here is the actor that played Baron Zemo in this movie. What's his name? Um, I'm looking at the cast list here, trying to figure out. Okay, Daniel Bruhl is the guy who played Baron Zemo in Captain America: Civil War. Um, see, what else? Okay, it doesn't look like I've seen him in anything other than Captain America: Civil War and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Oh, he was actually he actually played Lightning McQueen. It looks like back in the first Cars movie. Well, wait a minute. Owen Wilson played Lightning McQueen. Why did I look online here and it says Daniel Bruhl? Oh, he played Lightning McQueen in the German version of Cars, not the American version. That's why. Okay. Um, oh, he actually played Eric Jan Hanussen in The King's Man, the prequel to the two Kingsman films. I've seen The King's Man before. I enjoyed it. And also, Daniel Bruhl was in Brother Bear 2, a sequel to the movie Brother Bear, one of the movies from Disney Animation. I haven't seen Brother Bear before specifically, but I've seen a lot of the Disney animated films. I haven't seen Daniel Bruhl in anything else. All right, so then I've actually all this time forgotten to talk about Anthony Mackie. Started playing Falcon back in Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Wow, okay. So let's see. He was actually in Real Steel, and he started playing Sam Wilson in Captain America: The Winter Soldier. And then he was in Avengers Endgame and Civil War, and then Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And also, um, yeah, it doesn't look like I've seen him in anything else. Um, yeah, he was in Law and Order: Criminal Intent back in 2003, but I haven't seen him in anything else. Then you have Martin Freeman started playing Agent Everett Ross in Captain America: Civil War. Then he was in both Black Panther films. Let's see, what else has Martin Freeman done? Uh, he played Dr. John Watson in Sherlock, which is a TV show, came out from 2010 to 2017. He's also Tim Canterbury in The Office. played young Bilbo Baggins in the Hobbit trilogy, and he is also Everett Ross in those movies I mentioned, and also the show Secret Invasion. I haven't seen him in anything else. Oh, he was actually in the 2020 Christmas. He was in the 2020 Christmas Carol movie, actually, the one of the British Christmas Carol movies. And actually, that movie had Andy Serkis too. In fact, also when I look at TV shows, side of The Office and Secret Invasion. He was on Saturday Night Live at least once, but I haven't seen him in anything else. Now, let's see. What other new characters are we introduced to in Civil War? Black Panther and Spider-Man for sure. Um, let's see. You have Emily Van Camp, actually. I forgot about this. She started playing Sharon Carter in Captain America the Winter Soldier, and then appears in Civil War, and then returns for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. What else has she been in? She was on Law and Order Special Victims Unit back in 2007. But aside from that and the MCU show she's been in, I haven't seen her in anything else. And then you have Chadwick Boseman, who famously was Black Panther before he tragically passed away. Let's see. What else did Chadwick Boseman do? Doesn't look like I've seen him in. Oh, actually, he was Jackie Robinson in the movie 42 that came out back in 2013. And then, yeah, then he was in Law and Order back in 2004, CSI NY back in 2006, and he's on Saturday Night Live at least once, but I haven't seen him in anything else. Then you have Tom Holland, who was in the movie Spies in Disguise. That was released by Blue Sky Studios back in, I think, 2017. Let's see here. Spies in Disguise came out back in 2019, actually. Then Tom Holland was in Onward, like Chris Pratt was. Onward came out back in 2020. Also, Tom Holland. I'm not outside of those two roles and being the MCU's version of Spider-Man. He was in three standalone Spider-Man films, as well as Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame, and Civil War, where he was first introduced. Aside of that, I don't know what else Tom Holland has done. Yeah, I don't think I've seen him in anything else. And then looking at Civil War, anyone else to talk about? Um, well, there's King T'Chaka, admittedly. So who's the name of the actor that played him? Um, well, actually, here's a John Canny played T'Chaka, starting in Captain America: Civil War. Then he was in the first Black Panther movie. What else has he done? Oh, he was Rafiki in the live-action Lion King movie from 2019. But outside of that, I don't think I've seen him anywhere else. No, no, I have. No, I haven't. Then you have the actress played Aunt May in the MCU, Marissa Tomei. She's actually in the lawyer movie My Cousin Vinny that came out quite a good amount of time ago, back in 1992. And let's see, what else has Marissa Tomei done outside of that and being Aunt May? Um, doesn't look like I've seen her in anything else. Then You have you have John Slattery, who played Howard Stark, starting in Iron Man 2, and then he was in Captain America Civil War, Endgame, and Ant-Man. What else? Yeah, I haven't seen John Slattery in any other movies or shows. All right. Well, that's going to cover it, I'd say, for Captain America Civil War. Now let's move on to Doctor Strange. First of all, we got Benedict Cumberbatch, who started playing Doctor Strange in the original Doctor Strange movie. Then he was in the sequel in the Multiverse of Madness, a movie that wasn't really all that crazy or insane, unfortunately. Also, Benedict Cumberbatch is in movie about this famous guy. Can't remember the name right now. Let's see. Um, he played Sherlock Holmes actually in the Sherlock Holmes series. It ran from 2010 to 2017. And also, he played Alan Turing in The Imitation Game. That's what I was thinking of actually. And then Benedict Cumberbatch was in the 2006 Amazing Grace movie. He was in 1917 that came out back in 2019, which I saw in theaters. And actually, he played Smaug and Sauron in the Hobbit trilogy, and then he played Khan in Star Trek Into Darkness from 2013. I'd forgotten that. Side of those roles, I don't think I've seen him anywhere else. Then Tilda Swinton, who played the Ancient One, the Sorceress Supreme, in the first Doctor Strange movie. She was also in all three of the Narnia movies as Jadis the White Witch. See, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe came out back in 2005, and then Prince Caspian came out 2008, and then Voyage of the Dawn Treader came out in 2010. Let's see, what else though has Tilda Swinton done? Come on, let's take her back. All right, let's see here. Yeah, I haven't seen Tilda Swinton anywhere else. And then you have the actor that started playing Juan in Doctor Strange. Then he played him in Multiverse of Madness, She-Hulk, Avengers: Infinity War, briefly in Endgame. I don't remember the name of that actor. I do remember Rachel McAdams played the love interest in Doctor Strange. I don't remember the name of that actress. I don't remember what else Rachel McAdams has been in. Let's see, Benedict Wong. That's funny. He played a character named Juan. Wow, hilarious coincidence there. Let's see. Do I know Benedict Wong from anything else? He played Bruce NG in Martian, and then I don't know him from anything. Oh, he was actually in Kick-Ass 2. I'd forgotten that. And then he was in the 2019 live-action Lady and the Tramp movie, which is one I'm familiar with. I haven't seen the live-action version of Lady and the Tramp before, but I've watched the animated version. And then, oh, Benedict Wong was also in Raya and the Last Dragon. He played Taun in that movie. I've seen Raya and the Last Dragon before. I really enjoy it. And actually, Wong is in the post-credit scene of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. And then the characters in Spider-Man: No Way Home. Looks like is going to appear in Deadpool and Wolverine as well. And then who's the actor that played Mordor in Mordor? Mordo is actually the name. It just sounds a lot like Mordor from Lord of the Rings, but Baron Mordo, Chiwetel Ejiofor played the character in the first Doctor Strange movie. What else has he been in? He was in The Martian from 2015. He played Scar actually in the live-action Lion King movie, which I unfortunately saw in theaters because my parents really wanted to watch it. And then he was also in Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, which came out back in 2019. I've seen the first Maleficent movie, not the second one. And then I haven't seen this guy in anything else. Also, you have Mads Mikkelsen. He played the villain in Doctor Strange. Unfortunately, Mads, a really talented actor, was given another generic, disposable, forgettable Marvel villain to work with here. But outside of that, Mads Mikkelsen has actually been in Star Wars as well because he played Galen Erso in Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and then he was the main villain in Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, took over the role of Grindelwald in Fantastic Beast Secrets of Dumbledore, the third Fantastic Beast movie. Side of that, I don't know what else Mads Mikkelsen has done. Let's look it up here. All right. I don't think I've seen him in anything else. Hmm. Well, actually, Mads Mikkelsen is in the 2004 film called King Arthur, which is to some degree based on medieval legend, medieval mythology about King Arthur, though this is very much a different interpretation. Actually, Stellan Skarsgård is in King Arthur as well. And then, let's see, Mads Mikkelsen's also in, he's in the 2010 Clash of the Titans movie that I think has Sam Worthington as well. And then Mads Mikkelsen was also in the 2011 movie The Three Musketeers, and he's also in. Okay, I haven't seen him in anything else, and there's not really anyone else from Doctor Strange outside of the voice of Dormammu. We could look at that one, but no, it's fine. Let's move on. So when we look at Spider-Man: Homecoming, first of all, Zendaya played Mary Jane in the MCU Spider-Man trilogy. She's also in both Dune movies, and uh, outside of that, I don't know what else she's been in. Let's see here. Yeah, I haven't seen her in anything else. And then you have the actor that played Ned Leeds in the MCU Spider-Man trilogy. I don't remember the actor's name. Let's look it up. Um, Jacob Batalon. That's the name of the actor. Now let's see here. What else has he been in? Um, Doesn't look like I know him from anything else. No, I don't. But then you have Michael Keaton, who played Vulture in Spider Man Homecoming and also bizarrely in the Mobius post credit scene. I don't know what the heck Sony was thinking there. Michael Keaton has also actually done DC as well because he was Batman in the Tim Burton directed Batman films. Then he returned for The Flash, that's in the DCEU. But also, Michael Keaton was Beetlejuice in the Tim Burton directed movie Beetlejuice. Outside of these three roles, I don't know what else he's done. Let's see. Oh, he's done voice roles in several animated films. I'd forgotten that. He was in the 2006 Cars movie. What character did he play there? Oh, he played Chick Hicks, and then he was in Toy Story 3. He was? Wow, what character did he play there? I didn't remember at all. Michael Keaton is in Toy Story 3. Oh, he was Ken. And then he's in the 2015 Minions movie. I haven't seen that movie. I have no interest in watching it because the Minions work really well as side characters, supporting characters, not main characters, because inherently they don't grow, change, or develop at all. They don't speak a language that's really discernible as well. um, let's see, what else has Michael Keaton done? Um, I don't think I know him from anything else. No. Actually, never mind. He was in the remake of RoboCop. He played Raymond Sellers in that movie. And then he was in the 2019 Dumbo movie, actually. And he was also. Okay, I haven't seen him in anything else. He is going to be in the Beetlejuice sequel this year. He's also been on Saturday Night Live at least once. He was in an episode of The Simpsons. I don't know any of these other TV shows. No, who else is in Spider-Man Homecoming? Let's see here. You have Laura Harrier, who played Liz Allen in Spider-Man Homecoming. Let's see. What else has she done? Um, I haven't seen her in anything else, so then I haven't seen any of these TV shows either. You also have Donald Glover, who played Aaron Davis for one scene in this movie. Donald Glover is the same guy who was in Lethal Weapon back in the 90s, and he played Lando Calrissian in Solo: A Star Wars Story. And actually, Donald Glover is also in the animated Spider-Verse films. He plays Aaron Davis there too. Let's see. He was in The Martian, and he actually voiced adult Simba in the live-action Lion King movie. Outside of that, I don't know any other things he's been in. All right, now let's move on to Guardians Volume 2. So, actually, I completely forgot to mention the actor that plays Yondu in the first two Guardians movies. That's Michael Rooker. Let's see what else he's done. Um, outside of being Yondu, Michael Rooker was actually in James Gunn's Suicide Squad movie from 2021. And he's actually Detective Howard Cheney in The Bone Collector. And he was in Fast and the Furious 9, actually. I haven't I don't know him from anything else. But then you have Kurt Russell, who played Ego the Living Planet in Guardians Volume 2. What else has he been in? Um, he was in the 1982 movie The Thing from John Carpenter. He actually he was actually in Elvis from 1979. That was a made for television biographical film about Elvis. And then he was in. Oh, he was actually Santa Claus in the Christmas Chronicles from 2018 and the Christmas Chronicles 2 from 2020. Aside of that, here's the other funny thing about the Guardians movies. It's so easy to forget that Sylvester Stallone, Rocky himself, is in these movies, but just for a little bit. Like, he has so little screen time that it's easy to forget he's even in there, but he is. Outside of infamously being Rocky, he was also in Rambo 2008, and then he launched the Expendables franchise. He's Barney Ross in those films. Actually, after the Rocky films that are called Rocky, he actually came back for the Creed films. And outside of that, I haven't seen him in anything else. Outside of that, in Guardians Volume 2, are there other new characters here? Well, the head sovereign is a major character. Actually, here's something to talk about. You have Sean Gunn, James Gunn's brother, who plays Kraglin in the MCU. Let's see, what else has he done? Um, he was actually Weasel and Calendar Man in James Gunn's Suicide Squad. So he played two different characters in this movie, directed by his brother. He's in the 2001 Pearl Harbor movie. He's also in Tromeo and Juliet from 1996. Huh, haven't heard of that before. Um, he's actually going to be playing Maxwell Lord in the Superman movie coming out in 2025. And then looking at TV shows, I'm not, outside of What If, the Guardians Holiday Special, I'm not familiar with any of the other TV shows that he's been in. So then we look at Guardians Volume 2. You also Elizabeth Debicki. She's the main sovereign lady in Guardians Volume 2. She's Aisha, actually, in both Guardians Volume 2 and Volume 3. And then this lady is also actually in Tenet. And aside of that, I'm not familiar with her. All right, now let's move on to Thor Ragnarok. Most prominently would be Cate Blanchett, who plays the new villain in Thor Ragnarok, Hela, the goddess of death. What else has Cate Blanchett done? She was actually in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. She played Galadriel, actually. And then she was in Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Yeah, she played the main villain. And then she was in Don't Look Up from 2021, the live action Cinderella movie from 2015. And then I'm not familiar with the other things that she's done. Also in Thor Ragnarok, you have the character, that rock creature. I'm trying to remember the name. For some reason, it's not coming to my mind right now. Let's see. You have Taika Waititi himself, the director of the movie, also plays a character in Thor Ragnarok called Korg. And actually, Taika Waititi was in The Fall Guy. No, not The Fall Guy. That movie starring Ryan Reynolds. Taika Waititi voiced IG-11 in The Mandalorian, and he was Korg in Thor Ragnarok, Love and Thunder, and Endgame. And then there's that movie starring Ryan Reynolds. Why am I not remembering the name of this movie? Free Guy. Yeah, I don't know why I forgot that name for a second there. Yeah, Taika Waititi was also actually in Free Guy, and he's of course directed movies as well. Outside of these names, there's not really any other major new characters are introduced to in Thor Ragnarok. So let's move on to Black Panther. I've already talked about Chadwick Boseman, the actor that played T'Chaka, starting in Civil War. But then you also have the actress, that played Shuri starting in Black Panther, and then she was in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, along with Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame. Let's see, Letitia Wright is the actress that's been Shuri in the MCU. What else has she done? Doesn't look like actually, she was in Ready Player One, where she played Reb. That movie came out back in 2018. I've read the book Ready Player One. Then she was in Sing 2. She played Nushi. I've seen both Sing movies. I enjoy them. And I haven't seen her in anything else. Then you have Michael B. Jordan, played Eric Killmonger in Black Panther. And he is Adonis Creed in the Creed movies. And then he was in the 2015 Fantastic Four movie. Which, yikes, that was a disaster. Then you have Denai Gurira, who plays Okoye. I don't know if I pronounced the last name exactly right. She started playing Okoye in Black Panther, then she was in Wakanda Forever. And outside of that, what else has she done? She was in Tinkerbell and the Legend of The Never Beast, that's based on Peter Pan, so it's on my radar, even though I haven't seen it personally. She's also in Law and Order: Criminal Intent back in 2014, and the main show Law and Order back in 2009. And then McCoy is in the TV show What If. I'm not familiar with her from anything else. Then you have Lupita Nyong'o, who started playing Nakia in Black Panther, then reappeared in Wakanda Forever. And what else has she done? Oh, she did the motion capture for Maz Kanata in the Star Wars sequel trilogy, and played Raksha in the live action Jungle Book movie. Outside of that, I'm not familiar with her from anything else. Then you have Winston Duke, started playing M'Baku in Black Panther, then he reappeared in Wakanda Forever, and he was in Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. What else has Winston Duke done? Oh, he was in Person of Interest, actually. That's a TV show that I've seen before, which I really enjoy. Let's look at a cast list here. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not sure what character Winston Duke played in Person of Interest, but he's in that show. And then you have Angela Bassett, who played Ramonda in Black Panther and Wakanda Forever. I'm not sure what else she's done. Let's see here. She's in the 2011 movie Green Lantern, which isn't very good. And then she's in Olympus Has Fallen, came out back in 2013, and London Has Fallen, that came out back in 2016. I've seen Olympus Has Fallen. I haven't seen London Has Fallen. Though it's interesting that we're already an hour 51 minutes in, and I feel like there's a lot of people left that I haven't talked about. I'm gonna stop a live stream for now, but then go back to this a future day. Bye, everyone.